Call this August 1st, 2024 meeting of the AMATS Technical Advisory Committee into order. We'll start off with roll call. Aaron, are you going to do the roll call?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and do the roll call. And I apologize, I'm not there in person. I'm getting over being very sick. So I'm going to finish this as quick as we can, then go back to bed. Okay, Brad Coy or Kim Carpenter sitting in for Brad Coy. Okay, Ben White.
Here.
Melinda Kohlhaas.
Here.
Stephen Rebuffo. Greg Lyon.
Here.
Jamie Acton. Jamie's online, but Brian Lindemood.
Here, I couldn't get off mute.
Okay. Brian Lindemood is not going to be in today, and Kate Duber will be filling in for him, but she will be a little late. Luke Boland.
Here.
Yemi Alimi.
Present.
And Taylor Keegan.
Present.
Awesome. Thank you.
Right. Looks like we've got quorum.
You do.
So Aaron, would you please do the public involvement announcement?
Of course, AMATS committee meetings are open to the public, and the public is provided an opportunity to comment at each meeting. Business items are first presented by a staff or consultant, after which the committee is able to discuss the business item. The public is invited to formally comment. Each participant will have 3 minutes to speak on the topic. A couple of housekeeping items. If you're joining us virtually and you're not a member of the committee, please turn your camera off when you're not speaking on an item. If you're joining us by phone, to mute and unmute the microphone, press *6. Thank you.
Thank you, Aaron. Agenda item 3 is approval of the agenda. Do we have an approval of the agenda? Move to approve. Any objections or any changes to the agenda? Sorry.
Move to amend the agenda to add action item 5B, letter of support for DOT&PF wildlife crossing pilot program study.
Move to approve.
He moved. You need
Oh.
to take a second.
Second.
Any other options or changes?
Just a question about that, just because it's a business item. Is there a particular reason we couldn't get a week's notice? Because that's what we require usually.
Yeah, so I think, we'll provide some additional detail on this, but there's a grant opportunity that FHW has available. DOT is looking to apply for the grant for this funding opportunity, and having a letter of support from AMATS helps our nomination to compete at a national level. So understand the due date for this grant application is September. So if we couldn't get it on these August meetings, we weren't going to have an opportunity to include any support from AMATS with the application. Sorry for the lack of notice on that, but appreciate it. Entertain this on short notice.
Yeah, I guess for me, the fact that it will have more than a week's notice for the policy committee, it allows the public to make sure they have a chance to actually see it, because they won't have it. If they're online, they're not getting this at all. So, but since they'll be there, they will be able to see it posted for the policy committee. It's probably okay. That's the committee that decides if they want to weigh in on it anyway. So.
Any other changes to the agenda? Are there any objections to adopting the agenda as modified? Hearing any, the agenda is approved. Agenda item 4. Go through the meeting minutes from last meeting. So this is the June 6th, 2024 meeting minutes for approval. Do we have a motion? Move to approve.
Second. I move to approve.
Take care. Are there any changes or discussion on the minutes? Hearing none, the June 6, 2024 minutes are approved. And we'll move on to the action items in item 5. We'll start off with 5A. Vulnerable road users information from Strategic Highway Safety Plan. Aaron, will you be presenting this?
I'll be presenting on it real quick.
Okay.
Okay, everybody. So DOT reached out about some information, a road safety audit program that they are doing. It's a multi-year rotating program that they're planning on doing for the state of Alaska. So the regions will get one, the MPOs will get one. Road safety audits are basically an independent multidisciplinary assessment of an area, an intersection or a road segment. That does like a deeper dive into the concerns, the safety concerns in the area, as well as area recommended improvements that can be done in the area. So it's just like a more focused, targeted safety review. And so DOT is asking AMATS for some recommendations and locations in the AMATS area for these road safety audits. They provided the SHSP, the Strategic Highway Safety Plan, vulnerable road user location information. And as you can see, if you read the document, Anchorage has some of the highest, the biggest numbers in the areas. So staff looked through the information and is providing 2 recommendations for consideration for the Technical Advisory Committee to make a recommendation to the Policy Committee. For intersections, staff is recommending West 5th and 6th Avenues. It says C Street on there, but we're recommending a change to say A and C Street. The reason for this as intersections is 5th or 6th Avenue and A and C fall within our safety plan area as kind of a high need for intersections. So it'd be good to have a road safety audit take a look at this and provide some deeper recommendations, especially since there's the downtown streets engineering study that's happening. At a future date, AMATS is going to be funding an AC corridor plan, which this information can feed into those plans very nicely. The other one is a segment. Staff originally put here Tudor Road, Minnesota Drive to King Street, but on further review, it looks like that might be too large of a segment, because you want them to be more targeted areas, and having almost the entire Tudor Road be looked at is going to probably be a challenge. So staff's actually recommending Lake Otis to Elmore instead. If you look at the AMATS safety plan, that location is probably one of the biggest concerns along Tudor Road. And Tudor Road will also have a corridor plan done in the next couple of years or so. So this data could help feed into that depending on when it's done. And as you all may remember, Lake Otis and Tudor had a channelization project done years ago. So it'd be nice to see kind of a review of that location to see how it's been working over the years. So those are staff's recommendation, and I'm happy to help answer some questions. I may not be able to answer them all, but hopefully somebody from DOT can help if there's something I can't get. Thank you.
Thanks, Aaron. Are there any questions or comments from the committee?
I got a question. Are we to select one, but not an intersection and a segment?
Correct. It looks like they want an intersection or segment. But I believe Mary McCrae with DOT can help answer that a little more. Mary?
Thank you, Aaron, and thank you to the committee for allowing me to be here today. I actually have good news. All of the segments and intersections that are identified in the Vulnerable Road User Safety plan, we intend to nominate a project this coming fall to review all of them over the course of the next several years. So if there is an additional segment or intersection that you would like to look at this fall, I'm sorry, in the first review of Anchorage area locations, high risk locations, you do have the opportunity to nominate things that are not in this list. You can absolutely move forward with the staff recommendations that That's really good information, and we will absolutely include that in the project that we're moving forward with right now. But if you wanted to include something that was not on these lists, that is also an opportunity.
Any other questions or comments from the committee? Are there any comments from the public? I'll remind the public they get 3 minutes to speak on an action item. Seeing anything in the room, anything online? So what is the will of the committee?
I move to recommend to the policy committee that we take the staff recommendations and include the intersection West Fifth Avenue and Sixth Avenue, A Street and C Street, at A Street and C Street, the segment Tudor Road, Lake Otis Parkway to Elmore, and study. The audit, the multi-year road safety audit.
Second. Are there any objections to the motion? Hearing none, motion is approved. Now we'll move on to 5B. Item introducing letter of support for DOT&PF wildlife crossing Glen Highway wildlife vehicle collision mitigation.
Sure. Yeah, I'll give it a shot. So, kind of helping out for Ben as chair, kind of awkward if he's presenting on this, but a lot of this is planning related, so Ben might have a little bit better information when it comes to the details. But as I kind of mentioned, we have a opportunity here at FHWA is accepting grant applications for the wildlife crossing pilot program. TOT is looking to pursue a grant for the Glen Highway between Anchorage and the Mat-Su as a heavily traveled roadway with a number of wildlife vehicle collisions. We're hoping this grant opportunity can provide an opportunity for us to work with stakeholders, collect data, and wildlife crossings, which will later be incorporated into. We'll be competing against other applications on a national level, so these letters really do help us compete when we're going for dollars and hopefully bringing more funding into the state of Alaska. Similar to my comment earlier, apologize if this didn't make the agenda that went out last week, but we do have tight timelines when it comes to a lot of these grant applications. Quick turnaround. So, this is today's meeting. Glad we have an opportunity to take a look at it. Also want to say thanks to staff. Given the short timeline and working on getting this on the agenda, they jumped in and provided some edits to help clean this up for the new version that you see in front of us. So thanks to Aaron and his crew for this.
And I think coming back to what you mentioned earlier, Craig, one of the things that we've been doing is we don't want to create a lot of work for people if we're not going to actually move an application forward. But we've decided that because of internal process to try and get approval to get a green light to move forward with an application, it's taking us so many months that we're just going to start to draft up these letters and bring them to the communities as soon as we know we've got a grant application that may be in the AMATS or another MPO's boundary. So we're going to try and bring these letters to the committees sooner, and then it'll give us a chance to kind of bat it around. And then if we are told we can't move forward with a grant, we just don't have to let it go forward. So we've been kind of holding off, waiting for the green light from the commissioner's office to say, yeah, go for it. And we're not given a lot of time to try and get meetings and everything in place. So we've decided we're going to change the way we do things internally and just bring the letters to the committees earlier. And then if it doesn't pan out, it's no loss on our end. So at least that way the committees are all getting to see this. The public gets to see it. It's out there for discussion well in advance of application deadlines. So this will be the last one we bring in on an emergency. process.
I think it's a great grant. It's a great study to be done. So definitely support it. The fact that it will be posted so the policy committee public will be having a good opportunity to weigh in on it.
We pursued a wildlife crossing last year grant application for construction, and it was gonna dump the moose right there on Jayberry's property. And so we had tried to coordinate with them in advance, but we realized we probably should look at the entire corridor. And also look at options, that it's not gonna just be a $30 million overpass. And so we're hopeful that this planning effort will give us a little bit of time to look at the entire corridor and then come up with some good solutions, some good places to locate it. So take a step back, but instead of jumping right to it. Sure. Any questions or comments from the committee? Aaron?
Yeah, so I just wanted to say, I've been working with DOT staff on, wildlife crossing stuff for a little while, so this isn't out of the blue. The letter itself is, but I understand things happen. Sorry for that. I did also want to mention that my email address in the letter is wrong. I spelled it wrong, so I will correct that for the policy committee. I apologize. Thanks for catching that. And I think this is a good letter to support. Thanks.
Thank you, Aaron. I'm glad I didn't spell it wrong. Any other questions, comments from the committee? Any comments from the public? What's the will of the committee?
To approve. Send the letter to the policy committee too, so have Aaron sign it.
Any disapproval or any objections to moving this forward? Not hearing any of the motion moved. Aaron, are there any other action items that we need to cover today?
No, but can you clarify who seconded that motion? It's been cutting out pretty bad.
Taylor Keegan.
Thank you.
All right, we'll move on to agenda item number 6. We're going to start with item 6A, the Hiland Road Interchange Project Update. Aaron, will you be presenting on this one?
No, I will not. I believe the consultants will be. So if Galen's there or if Morgan's there, I believe they'll be presenting. Thanks.
Just stand and present right here. So, hi, everybody. I'm Galen Jones with Alaska Department of Transportation. Thank you for having us today. I'm here with Sam Tyler and Kelly Kilpatrick from Dowell, who's working on this project. So we're here to present the Glen Highway and Hiland Road interchange improvements, also known as the first Eagle River exit or the exit to the landfill. Anything I'd say about the project is just going to get repeated in the presentation, so I'll just let Kelly jump right into it. Thanks again.
Thank you. Kelly Kilpatrick, I'm the consultant again with Dowell. Thank you for having us. And Galen is more than welcome to interject if I misspeak or has anything to add, and please do. Do you want me to just say next? I'm not sure. Okay. Trying to figure out who owns the rights here. As Galen mentioned, the location is the Hiland Interchange. We're not just looking at the interchange, so any improvements we come up with, we want to kind of keep in mind VFW, Eagle River Road, Wolf Den, and stakeholders in the area that we have shown there on the map.
Is there a way to do like a full page, just like a full page on the slide instead of a scroll? We get the whole slide. If not, it's okay.
Is it the arrow in the corner next to settings? Okay, perfect. Purpose and objectives, the presentation will give you an idea of how these came about, but to keep it short, we want to improve operations capacity, safety for motorized and non-motorized vehicles. We want to increase efficiency of the highway merging, specifically for southbound entrance ramp. We have lane utilization issues that create queuing issues along Eagle River Loop Road. And then the existing bridge needs some preservation work, and we want to maintain that existing bridge and use it for any improvements that we do as part of the project. Funding, we have 2.9 million in design funding approved through several sources throughout the last few years. We're thinking about 19.9 million is needed for construction funding. We do recognize this is not in the TIP or STIP currently. It needs to get in the TIP and STIP. And so looking to get that considered, approved, and included in the next STIP. I understand that process is starting likely around this October. But do want to let you know that draft amendment or amendment 1 for the STIP is in review and the project is in that. So might be a little out of order, but we're making sure we hit the steps that we need to so we can hopefully get approved in the TIP and STIP. Schedule was initiated in 2022. We kicked off environmental document and concept design late last year. Our goal is to have a preferred alternative sometime this winter and then take that alternative through final design in 2025. We note there right-of-way acquisition only if needed. Our goal is definitely to minimize or eliminate any right-of-way acquisition. And then again, the goal is get that construction in 2026, pending we get this project approved in the TIP and the STIP. So I think it's important before we get a little bit of the existing conditions to give a little background. It has a long history. 1970. I can't believe I'm as old, but 50 coming up. 1970s. This was originally built, and Hiland, the orange highlighted, is Hiland Road connected to it. So low development, limited growth off Hiland. 1980s, there was a location study done where they were looking at connecting Eagle River Loop Road. Eagle River Loop Road's not on there, but if you can imagine where it is today, maybe that straight line coming down, there's a grade separated crossing at Hiland. And then it does a directional interchange connection where southbound is a flyover over the highway, connects in the highway, and the northbound is an off-ramp. So it was a study that was done. 1990s, a supplemental study was done, and that's where they decided to connect Eagle River Loop Road, and you can change slide. They connect Eagle River Loop Road, as you can see in the orange there, to the Hiland intersection. At that time, they widened the bridge, added that westbound traffic lane and pathway. So you can kind of see the story of it. It was Hiland traffic, Hiland interchange. It wasn't meant to be a long-term solution. It was temporary until that directional interchange was to come about. And you can actually see down there that dash line actually says future South Eagle River access interchange. So this is a little interchange it's doing really good. It had some issues, and so there's things that we'll highlight next in the existing conditions than what's happening here. So lane utilization, Eagle River Loop Road, you can see there's 2 westbound lanes. We're all wishing everybody was nice and let us in, but we all know, well, we don't want to attempt that. So we get in that inside lane. And then you can go to the next one. Next one has a picture that just kind of shows there's 2 lanes in the inside lane. 1.2 miles is about the average queue. It does get up to about 2 miles, goes to Briggs Bridge that's way beyond there. So we want to try to see how can we get people utilizing those 2 lanes so we can have better lane utilization and capacity. So with that, we have that lane utilization. If we fix it, right now, the merging onto the Glen Highway is near capacity, not at near, but if we fix it, potentially near our over capacity. So any improvements we come up with getting those left burners moving through there faster, we have to come up with an option that will get merging, not over capacity.
Yeah, this is Galen Jones with DOTs for the record, but think of that as like you have a small little pipe that's too small for your water flow, and then you only make half of that pipe bigger. The small pipe is still going to limit the flow of that. And that's what would happen if we fixed things up top, but didn't fix the merge and the ramps.
Thanks, Kate. The existing bridge, 75 years is the design life. It's 50. It has about 25 years, give or take, depends on inspections. Inspections will happen. So at some point, it'll need to be replaced. So we want to look at improvements now that can get us at least that far. It's already been widened once. We don't want to do it again. And you can see pictures there. There's preservation things that we could do as part of this project to keep that one going. Existing non-motorized facilities, we have them mapped. We know where they are. We know any improvements we do, we want to improve or maintain or improve those improvements. So we're be coordinating with the bike and ped groups, high school transit to make sure we're taking all those facilities into account when we propose improvements. And also same thing with transit. We'll maintain or improve. There's a new bus stop. Kind of see the orange in the middle of that dash circle there. That's the existing bus stop. It's right in the interchange, not a typical place you'd like to have a bus stop. Not ideal, but this could be an opportunity to put it in a place where it is ideal. We have the park and ride there too, so getting access to that, but maybe not right in the interchange. So we'll be coordinating with the public transportation department when we propose improvements. And the current Route 92, it's just 2 stops, a stop here, then up at Eagle River Transit Center. We want to maintain the routing they have. They go up Glen Highway, come down VFW. So we've done some brainstorming ideas. We talked about number 1, where we have the merging capacity. Maybe we do an add lane versus merge. Number 2 is that left turn movement. Is there 2 lanes to the left or 2 lanes to the right? Realign VFW. Reconnect northbound entrance. That's number 3. Today you can see in aerial photos, there's like a clear location where the ramp used to have direct access to the entrance ramp on the north. They're offset. The entrance ramp is over offset from or VFW. So maybe bringing that back, connecting it. And then to be an ideal interchange layout, remove the VFW from the interchange equation and connect it up to Wolf Den option we've been looking at. And then number 5 is modified interchange configurations. Maybe we look at different types, but definitely want to keep impacts in mind. We're not wanting to spend the maximum amount and make this the perfect interchange. We want near-term solutions that sets us up for that future project once the bridge needs to be reconstructed. So we have shared several scenarios at an interchange workshop held at the end of April. We wanted to inform the stakeholders in the area, let them understand the project that needs those issues that I shared today. Some concepts being considered. And so there's a quick summary of the feedback. The project is needed, overdue, congestion is unacceptable. So I forgot to say that commute, the morning time is our queuing and issues concern. It's just that morning peak. Enhance and maintain bicycle pedestrian facilities, and consider that school time change. So we are considering that. We're doing traffic analysis on all of our concepts that are being done to date. So we want to get through that before we actually see and present alternatives that are viable. Continuing with the feedback, concerns about impacts to emergency vehicles. So if we disconnect the entrance ramp, the correctional facility was concerned of getting to VFW in a quicker way. They still have access, but it might be roundabout way. Say if they went Eagle River Road, Wolf Den, down the new VFW connection. Consider overheight vehicles through the interchange. This is one we hear on all the interchange, so it's definitely something we're going to keep in mind, specifically with the landfill as well. Consider signalizing ramp node intersections. I think that was from the landfill. Avoid increasing number of vehicle lanes. So that was particular to Eagle River Road. Oh, did I say, sorry, roundabouts? Yes, there was a mention of roundabouts on either node, the landfill. That was when they were excited about. And project team, isn't that it? Joby's the only one not here with our public involvement. Thank you. Question?
Question, so currently, is this state funding geo bond?
We have a little bit of state funding. That's usually we weren't, but funding was uncertain. So Galen Jones through the chair. We secured a little bit of state funding last year, a couple years ago, and then then we federalized it after that. So that allowed us to get started on an environmental document. So the rest will be federal funding.
Okay, so previous funds, all state, non-federal, going forward, the idea is to tip federal funds.
That's correct. And we do already have approved design, federal design funds. So the project already has federal funds obligated.
Any questions or comments from the committee? Any comments from the public? On. Thank you for the presentation. All right, agenda item 6B. Go through the third quarter obligation report, FFY 24. Are you going to be presenting this one?
Yes, I will. Okay, thank you all. So we are bringing our quarterly obligation report to you. This is third quarter, so this is through June of 2024. I'm just going to let you know where we're at. There are some pretty significant things in this obligation report, so I hope you've had an opportunity to take a look at it. Just based on what we see here, you know, if Mo, can you go ahead and scroll down to the very bottom, please? We have roughly 67.34% of our program that we are not anticipating obligating this year, which is about 34.2 million. The reason for that is we've been waiting for TIP amendment number 2 to be incorporated into the STIP, and that is taking quite a while as the STIP's being worked on. And as such, we have a lot of our FY24 that can't be obligated until that amendment is incorporated. I know a lot of people are trying to be optimistic about it. We just kind of wanted to give you a where we're at right now approach. The hope, of course, is that everything will get done last minute and we'll get as much of our program obligated as possible. If we don't get it obligated this year, the hope is that money will be available for us in future years, and an upcoming TIP amendment number 3 will help to correct any of those errors. Just note that this impacts existing projects pretty significantly. For example, Spinard Road isn't going to be able to get the funding that it needs. So that'll delay the project a little. Some of the other projects in here have been delayed already for other reasons, but this just kind of compounds the issue. We're looking at a year or 2 year of delay for projects, depending on what happens. So we just wanted to bring the quarterly report. I'm happy to help answer any questions. Thank you.
Any questions or comments from the committee? Any comments from the vote?
Just, it's the elephant in the room. This is disastrous. Is there any guesstimate on the adoption?
Public comment period closes on the 5th. And from what we were told this week, they're going to try and get revised version down the federal highway sometime next week. I think they're shooting for next Friday. And it would be a pretty rapid turnaround on comments and responding to those comments. Yes, it's probably going to take a little bit more days. But the intent is to try and fast track this and get it down federal highways. Federal highways then has up to 30 days to review and provide their feedback on it. So early to mid-September, and we got holiday.
$30 million on our program not being spent this year. That is awful. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments from the committee? Any comments from the public? Thank you, Aaron, on the report. Moving on to agenda item 6C.
That'll be me as well. This is just our quarterly update through June, of course, to match with our obligation report. So James helps to put all this together, compile all the information from the different projects that are underway by AMATS. So please peruse it at your leisure. We also note in there what projects are being delayed. And I can help answer any questions if you have any. Thank you.
Questions or comments from the committee?
I don't have a comment about that, but just would like to reflect that. Dear friend, Mr. Rebel, the report. I was doing this in person. I believe he was on the phone for a bit listening.
It's about 5 minutes before the one highway road is.
I need to not just look in one direction. He might have on a swivel around here. Any comments from the public? Thank you, Aaron. We will move on to agenda item 6D. This is the AMATS TIP amendments number 2 and 3 update. Aaron, are you going to be presenting?
Yes, I will. So I just wanted to give you all a quick heads up on kind of where we're at with things. So as I mentioned earlier, TIP Amendment 2 was approved by the Policy Committee, but is waiting for final incorporation into the STIP. And so that's causing some delays. And so based on what comes from TIP Amendment 2, and if we can get our FY24 funds obligated or not, we'll have TIP Amendment 3 that we will need to start to clean up any errors or messes that come from it. Right now, I'm looking at starting TIP Amendment number 3 in October. So if you are needing changes in the TIP, please get them to me within the early October. Just as a heads up, if you are needing changes or new projects or anything like that, I need you to send me an email. I will not be guessing and just randomly putting things in. For those of you who noticed, there are some new projects in the STIP that are not in the TIP. I need the information from DOT or I will not be adding them to the TIP amendment. I don't know how many times I can say that, but I'll continue to keep saying it. And one other things I wanted to note as part of TIP amendment number 3, we're going to probably also have to be doing an MTP amendment. So bear with me as I explain kind of what's going on with this. So as part of the STIP amendment number 2, there were some project cost increases. I think one of the most significant project cost increase was on the Safer Seward Highway project, 98.5 to 118. It went from like 690 million or so to 1.499 billion, which is a pretty significant cost increase. There is a portion of that project that's within the AMATS area. When we developed the 2050 MTP, we estimated about 13% of that project was within the AMATS boundary. So we estimated 13% of the project cost needed to be accounted for as part of the fiscal constraint, which was about $90 million at the time. Now that the cost has increased, that amount has gone up to $194 million for that cost estimate on that project. So $104 million increase on the estimate of that project. As such, it's part of our responsibility as AMATS to ensure fiscal constraint with project cost increases, especially ones that significant for the MTP. So we will have to work on an MTP amendment where we will have to get everyone to come together to note how that will be covered, whether projects will come out, or if that estimate is really realistic or not. So just a heads up, I hope DOT is ready to come to the committees to explain what projects are going to be moved out to pay for it. Our financial estimates have not changed any, so our funding amounts that have come in have not changed any since we last did our MTP update. So we can't just increase the estimates that come to the AMATS area because a lot of it has to be based on historical data. So the plan is to do the MTP update in conjunction with the TIP amendment, so then we don't have to delay anything. So I just wanted to give you all that heads up before we move into it. Thank you.
Thanks, Aaron. Any questions or comments from the committee? Comments from public? Not seeing any. Thank you again, Aaron. For that.
Thank you.
Aaron, is there any other further project and plan updates for today?
There's nothing else on my end. Thank you.
Thank you. Then we will move to agenda item number 7, committee comments. Does the committee have any comments to add to today's meeting? Just making sure there's nothing behind me too. Don't have any comments to offer. We'll move on to agenda item 8, public comments. Any comments from the public? Getting off easy today. Well, we'll move on to agenda item number 9. Good one. We have a motion to adjourn.
So approved.
All right. And second by Mr. Lehman. All right, we're gonna call the meeting 1:41.
Thank you. See y'all soon.
Feel better, Aaron.
Thank you.